Hey everyone, and welcome to the deep dive. So today we're gonna um, dive into something that's been generating a lot of buzz lately, and that's Premier Energies Ltd. and their role in this whole like booming renewable energy sector. We've got like a ton of info to go through. We've got their quarterly report, a really impressive investor presentation, and of course all of your insightful questions to kind of guide our discussion today. So, are you ready to take a deep dive and see if Premier Energies really poised to ride this wave of, renewable energy growth?
Yeah, let's jump right in. They've definitely come a long way from their, early days, starting back in 1995.
Oh yeah, I mean, going from like a small operation
Yeah.
to, becoming a real like major player in the Indian PV manufacturing scene. It's quite a story. And get this, they're actually like right now the top Indian exporter of solar cells to the US, basically dominating that market.
Yeah, they've got a pretty impressive market share over there. I think it's close to like almost 100%. But it's not just about scale, it's really about their approach. Premier Energies has this like really interesting vertically integrated strategy where they cover everything from, the solar cells and modules themselves to the engineering,
Mm.
procurement, construction, even, the ongoing maintenance and operations. They're involved in like literally every single stage of the process, which is pretty unique in this industry.
Yeah, it's not something you see very often.
Right. And to top it all off, they just got listed on both the Bombay Stock Exchange and the National Stock Exchange in June. So that makes them even more accessible to investors.
Right. Oh, so yeah, they've definitely built like a solid foundation and they're publicly traded now. But let's get down to like the really important stuff, How are they actually performing? Like when we look at their Q2 results, the numbers are pretty impressive. Profit after tax is up by like 121.4%. Revenue has skyrocketed by like a whopping 280.2%. And EBITDA, that's earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation, and amortization. It's almost quadrupled with a 289.6% increase. I mean,
Yeah.
are these numbers like even sustainable?
Well, those are all year-over-year figures, so, they're being compared to the same quarter last year. But still, a
Wow.
280% jump in revenue, that's not something to ignore. I think a lot of this growth is really being driven by, their smart expansion into different segments of the solar power value chain. And we can see that reflected in their revenue breakdown.
So you're saying it's not just about selling more of like the same thing. They're actually, branching out strategically. So which segment is really like carrying the weight here?
Well, both cell and module sales have contributed significantly to that revenue boost. But what's also interesting is that their other segment is showing a lot of promise, too. This includes, things like their engineering, procurement, and construction services, or EPC, as well as operations and maintenance, or O&M. So it seems like they're really diversifying their revenue streams, which is a smart move.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of diversification, their investor presentation is jam-packed with all these like really ambitious expansion plans. They're even getting into manufacturing aluminum frames for their solar modules. That's a smart move.
It's a bold one, that's for sure. But you have to remember that aluminum frames, those are a key component in solar panels. And by making these in-house, Greener Energies could potentially lower their costs, have more control over their supply chain. It's kind of like they're becoming like a one-stop shop for all things solar.
That's an interesting strategy. So walk me through these expansion plans a bit more. They seem pretty aggressive.
Oh, they definitely are. They're aiming to have a 1 GW TOPCon cell line up and running by Q4 of FY25. That's a pretty significant increase in their production capacity for those high-efficiency solar cells. And then by the end of FY26, they're targeting a whopping 4 GW integrated TOPCon cell and module facility. That's massive.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on a second. What exactly is TOPCon technology and why are they like betting so big on it?
Okay, so TOPCon stands for tunnel oxide passivated contact. It's basically like the next generation of solar cell technology, and it's really gaining traction in the market. It basically improves the efficiency of solar cells, allowing them to convert more sunlight into electricity. So it's a significant step up from the standard PERC technology that's currently dominating the market.
So they're not just expanding, they're also upgrading their tech at the same time. Pretty smart move. But what about beyond India? I saw in their presentation, they're also making a big push into the US market.
You're right. They're planning a 1.2 GW cell manufacturing facility in the U.S. by FY28. That's a major step towards establishing a truly global presence. And remember, the U.S. is investing a lot in renewable energy. So it's a very strategic market for Premier Energies to tap into.
Yeah, they're really going all in on this global renewable energy boom. But the question is, can they actually pull it off?
But that's what we're going to explore further.
Yeah.
Let's take a closer look at the factors that could impact their journey. both the challenges and the opportunities.
Okay, sounds good. So let's dig in. So we've seen their, ambitious plans, expanding production, upgrading tech, even, going global. But what could potentially, throw a wrench in their plans? What are some of the challenges Premier Energies might face along the way?
Yeah, well, one of the biggest things for any company with such aggressive growth plans is like execution. They've got this bold vision laid out, but actually like implementing it, building those facilities, getting them up and running, managing the logistics, it's a massive undertaking.
Yeah, it's one thing to have the blueprint, you know. It's another thing to actually build the house.
Exactly. And then you can't forget about competition. The renewable energy sector is attracting a lot of players. You've got established giants, hungry startups. Premier Energies will need to like really stay ahead of the curve if they want to, maintain their edge.
So they can't just rest on their laurels. They got to keep innovating, keep adapting. What about something like raw materials? I mean, getting the materials to actually produce all these solar panels, that's got to be a major concern,
Yeah.
especially with all the global supply chain issues we've seen lately.
Absolutely. That's a critical point. Things like polysilicon, wafers, aluminum, those are all essential for solar panel production. And securing a stable and cost-effective supply of those materials, that's going to be super crucial for Premier Energy's success. Any disruptions in that supply chain, that could really throw a wrench in their production plans.
Yeah, and I imagine the prices of these materials can fluctuate a lot too,
Yeah.
adding another layer of uncertainty to the whole thing.
For sure. Commodity price volatility is a constant headache in this industry. Premier Energy is going to need to come up with some pretty smart strategies to manage those risks. Protect their profit margins. Things like hedging strategies, long-term supply agreements, maybe even vertical integration, where they take control of more parts of the supply chain themselves.
Sounds like they need a whole team of financial ninjas working behind the scenes.
Right.
But it's not just about the numbers. Scaling up their operations that quickly, that requires a skilled workforce. Do you think finding and keeping talented employees is going to be a challenge for them?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they're going to need a whole army of engineers, technicians, project managers, you name it, as they expand. And the competition for those skilled professionals, it's fierce out there. It's a candidate-driven market. Companies are fighting tooth and nail for top talent.
So how can Premier Energies, liking, make sure they attract and retain the best people?
Well, competitive salaries and benefits are obviously important, but it goes beyond that. They need to create a company culture that values innovation, sustainability, employee growth. They need to build an environment where people feel challenged, appreciated, empowered to, contribute their best work.
It's about creating a company where people actually want to work, not just a place to, punch in and punch out.
Exactly. You want to foster that sense of shared purpose, provide opportunities for professional development, recognize and reward contributions. That's how you build loyalty and create a team that's really passionate about what they're doing.
Yeah, it makes a huge difference. Okay, so we've talked about execution risks, competition, securing raw materials, and finding the right people. But what about their impressive financial performance? Can they sustain that momentum?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? While those year-over-year growth numbers look fantastic, if we take a look at their quarter-over-quarter performance, the picture is a little bit different. Their profit after tax actually dipped a bit compared to the previous quarter, and their revenue growth, while still positive, it was more moderate.
So is this a sign that their rapid growth is slowing down? Is this something to be concerned about?
It's tough to say for sure. It could just be a temporary thing, a minor adjustment before the next wave of growth. But it could also be a sign that the market is becoming more challenging.
What could contribute to that?
Well, there are a lot of external factors that can impact their future profitability. Changes in government policies, fluctuations in energy demand, increased competition from other solar companies, even unforeseen global events. All of these things can shake up the industry.
So it sounds like there's a lot of uncertainty, like trying to navigate a ship through stormy waters.
Pretty much. Premier Energies needs to be agile and adaptable, ready to adjust to those external forces and make strategic decisions if they want to navigate these uncertainties and maintain their growth trajectory.
All right, so we've got execution risks, competition, raw materials sourcing, the talent war, and this ever-present uncertainty of external factors. Is there anything else out there that could potentially derail their plans?
Well, there's always the regulatory landscape to consider. Government policies can change pretty unexpectedly. Incentives can expire, new regulations can be introduced, and all of that can have a significant impact on a company's operations and profitability.
It's like they're trying to hit a moving target.
Exactly. Premier Energies needs to be adaptable. Stay informed about any shifts in that regulatory environment to make sure they stay ahead of the curve. And then there's the technology factor. I mean, the solar industry is constantly evolving. New technologies are emerging all the time, pushing the boundaries of efficiency and performance.
So they can't just rely on what they have now. They got to
Yeah,
keep innovating and improving.
for sure, if they don't invest in research and development. And keep up with the latest advancements, they risk falling behind their competitors and becoming obsolete. Continuous improvement is really the name of the game in this industry.
Yeah, it's a fast-moving space. So we've talked about all the potential pitfalls, all the challenges. It sounds like a pretty daunting landscape, but there must be some exciting opportunities out there too, right?
Oh, absolutely. And those opportunities are what make this industry so fascinating.
All right, so we've gone through like all the potential pitfalls, the competitive landscape, all the challenges of scaling up. But let's kind of flip the script now. What are the bright spots? What are the opportunities out there for Premier Energies to like really capitalize on?
Well, I think the most obvious one is just this global shift towards renewable energy. It's a mega trend. And the demand for solar solutions is just projected to explode in the coming years. And Premier Energies with its, aggressive expansion plans and their focus on that cutting edge technology like TopCon, they're really well positioned to ride this wave of growth.
Yeah, it's like they're those surfers paddling towards a massive swell,
Yeah.
you know, ready to catch that perfect wave.
Exactly. And don't forget about those government policies we were talking about earlier. India is heavily incentivizing domestic solar manufacturing and deployment. You've got subsidies, tax breaks, streamlined approvals. All of that creates this really favorable environment for companies like Premier Energies to thrive.
Yeah, it's like they've got a whole team of cheerleaders on the sidelines.
Right. And then you've got their strategic move into the U.S. market. By establishing a manufacturing presence there, they can tap into this huge and growing market, but also diversify their operations,
Yeah.
reduce their reliance on any single region.
Smart move.
Yeah.
Not putting all their eggs in one basket.
Yeah, it's like building multiple pillars of support for their business.
Exactly. And we can't overlook their commitment to innovation. Embracing technologies like TopCon and HJT, that gives them a real competitive edge in terms of efficiency and performance.
Yeah, I mean, those advancements, they translate into more power output from their solar panels, which makes them even more attractive to customers.
It's like offering a solar panel with a built-in performance boost.
Right. And then their focus on sustainability is another big selling point. As consumers and businesses become more environmentally conscious, they're looking for sustainable products and solutions. And Premier Energy's commitment to things like ethical sourcing and environmentally responsible practices, that gives them a real advantage in this space.
So it's like they're not just riding this wave of renewable energy growth, they're also aligning themselves with the values of a growing segment of the market.
Exactly. And those values are only going to become more important moving forward.
Okay, so let's kind of recap here. We've got a company with a strong track record, ambitious growth plans, a focus on cutting-edge technology, a commitment to sustainability, and they're operating in this high-growth industry with supportive government policies. It sounds like the stars are aligning for them, but
But like we talked about, there are always challenges and uncertainties in business. We went through some of the potential pitfalls: execution risks, competition, raw material sourcing, talent acquisition, the impact of external factors. These are all things that, investors need to carefully consider.
yeah, it's a balancing act, right? Weighing those potential rewards against those inherent risks. No investment is a sure thing.
And that's where informed decision-making comes in. We've tried to give you the information, the insights, the different perspectives to consider. Now it's up to you to dig deeper, do your own research, and ultimately decide if Premier Energies is a company you believe in.
That's right. Knowledge is power. And hopefully this deep dive has given you the knowledge you need to make an informed assessment of Premier Energies and, their potential in this really exciting world of renewable energy.
Yeah, it's been great exploring this with you.
Likewise. And to you, our listener, thank you so much for joining us on the deep dive. We hope you found this exploration informative and thought-provoking. Until next time.